Hello, hello. Welcome to the HVAC Guide live show. We are back. Last week I was very much under the weather. I felt, I guess, somewhat okay, but I had lost my voice almost entirely, and so there's still some raspiness there. And I'm actually on week, I think, 3 here. So actually tried to call the doctor today and get a Z pack. Anyway, very long-winded way of saying I apologize. If the raspiness in my voice gets a little annoying tonight, we will power through. And I've got actually some cool stuff for you guys tonight. So, um, thank you for joining us. If you are watching us in the chat, feel free to say hello. Um, Let us know where you're located in the country. That's always fun to know. So, hello to Gary out there. Gary says, "Did I miss last week's show?" Yes, we all did, including me. So I did post on the community tab on our on our YouTube channel that that I was under the weather and that we would be skipping the week. So, but we are back this week, and it's gotten quite cold here in Virginia. We've had today actually wasn't too bad. I think we had a high. I think we got up in the 50s, maybe even 60ish. But pretty warm today. But we've had some days where I had to bundle up pretty good, especially when I'm teaching classes outside, hands-on classes, and you're standing out in the cold for a few hours, and you got to bundle up. Hence the reason I probably the reason why I've lost my voice, right? Um, so hey to Bob. Thank you for your kind words. Good to see you. And says he needs to get that spell checker working. So let's jump to the story for tonight. I thought it was a pretty interesting story. See if I can get this tab moved over, and then I will remove my fat face so you guys can see just the story. Let's see how can I do this here. There we go. And so I thought this was an interesting story talking about the requirements coming up next year, because we are finally getting towards, we've talked about it a lot in our channel. And in fact, I probably talked about it more at the beginning of this year here in 2024 than I have here towards the end. But we are at the end. We're at the end of 2024. How do I get this to stop popping up? We're probably going to have to just, no, there it goes. And so, starting January 1st, 2025, we do have some industry changes, right? And so, let's go through that. This is a story out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, and it is a local HVAC guy that talks about this. And there is a video here, but I want to go through the article first. So it says local HVAC expert talks new requirements coming in new year. With temperatures dropping, HVAC technicians have seen an increase in calls, leaving some homeowners waiting for heat. With new HVAC regulations on their way, experts say now is the time to make sure yours works. Quote, everybody relies on their furnace. You want to make sure you take care of it. Gary Will said, it's important to take care of it. An HVAC system keeps your home cold in the summer and warm in the winter. Go figure. That's a pretty good sentence there. Gary Will is the operations manager at Home Comfort Experts and says this one is one of the busiest times of the year. It is interesting to me for me in Virginia. I live near the coast. The winter we would get a little busy, but the summer was our time of the year. And I'm sure the further south you go, the more that's true. But I have some guys that they're on our website. I actually have a mastermind of small business owners. Check it out if you're a small business owner and you want to grow your business. But anyway, a couple of them are up north and now they are busy, which is so, different to me. That now they're wide open and working until dark every day and so on. So of course it gets dark earlier this year. I mean, this time of year, but you get the point. It's picking up rapidly now, Will said. The weather has definitely turned cold and service is busy. It's a good thing for us. We are here to help our customers. He says with the new regulations, they could be busier. Starting next year, the U.S. EPA will require new HVAC systems. That's why I wanted to go through this. There's a lot of stuff being thrown around out there. That's not what they're requiring. But anyway, we'll dive into that, what exactly is going on in all of this. But Will says the idea is to make systems better for the environment and aim to improve energy efficiency, but it's also making them cost more. Quote, for example, 410A, which is the old refrigerant, it has a global warming number of or potential of 2085, Will said. The new refrigerant is half that, which is also not true. It's more than half, but anyway, which means they are a lot better for the environment. They are also non-ozone depleting, which means it helps the ozone. Well, I wouldn't say it helps the ozone, it just doesn't hurt it, right? I know I'm grasping here, but it just I don't anyway. I say stuff wrong all the time, so I don't know why I would pick on somebody for saying something incorrectly on our live show, but we are going to go through this, right? Will says if your HVAC system is working just fine, you won't have to worry about changing it right away, but eventually all systems will need to adhere to the new regulations. So that's true. That actually is true. Okay. So let's see I have not watched this video, so I don't know what it's going to, I don't know if it's good or bad, but let's see what they got to say here. Oh, you know what? The sound isn't going to work because I've got the. Okay, give me a second, guys. Let me see if I can remove this. Give me just a second. Stop screen, present, share screen. Doing all this live. This should, if it's going to work, and now it's not going to work. Jeez Louise. So we might not get to see. I'm glad I waited to share the video because it may not work. The software I use is a pain in the butt sometimes. But it does look like we've got some new folks in our chat. And as soon as, let's see if I take me off here. Oh my gosh. Now it won't even bring me back up here. This stupid software. Give me just a second, guys. I'm gonna reload this. Okay, sorry about that. He's not coming back, Neil says. Um I've got to get this thing figured out. I don't know what the problem is the problem. I pay for a lot faster internet, doesn't get better. Maybe I'm gonna maybe try a different computer next week. Um I'm also gonna stretch. I'm gonna run a hard cable, you know. Anyway, I do a an internet speed test and all the speeds are good. So anyway, bear with me while I get the chat back up. Oh man, what a night already. Getting over being sick. Bear with me, guys. So sorry. We are going to get this show straight again, though. I used to do the show with no problems. I think I got spoiled. So, um, let's see. Now I should be able to add chat back on screen. And now it's not working. Unbelievable, man. Anyway, let me see if I can jump to our chat anyway. I'm just not going to be it's kind of embarrassing because our numbers are really good tonight too. But Brian, good to see you, buddy. Steve, good to see you. All you guys, love that flag. Oh, now it's going to work. No, is it? It's not going to work. I don't know. My chat window's trying to pop up here. Fisher Brown, good to see you. Wired Ethernet, then wireless. Come on, computer. Yeah, I'm gonna I paid to get faster internet, and it is faster when I run a speed test, but maybe it's the computer, you know. And now this is unbelievably frustrating. I am so sorry, guys. There it goes. Now it's trying. Browser has lost connection to your screen share. Okay. All right. I think it's gonna try to work now. Sorry about this, guys. There we go. Okay. All right. I'm gonna try to leave it alone and get through any questions you guys have, at least for now. I'm gonna just call you Fit, FYT Fit. Keep doing your lives. It'll keep picking up over the months. Um, it has its ups and downs, just like the HVAC industry. I got up to one point we were having almost 50 people every week on the live show, and then it just kind of, we had some guests on, and then numbers went down, so I went back to just me, and numbers went down again. And so I think at the end of the day, we're just going to have fun with this. And if you join us, then we're going to make it the best show we can. We're going to talk about HVAC. We're going to talk about things that no one else wants to talk about. Um, that's kind of always been my goal. My goal has always been to offer something or provide something that no one else is offering in our industry. And I'm not sure I always deliver on that, but that's been the goal from the get go. There's other shows. So, that are great shows, by the way. There's other folks that have live shows and all of that, but I felt like some of the guests we've brought on and, some of the stuff we've done on here is unique. And so that's kind of the goal here, right? Steve says hello to Steve, and slowing down so I'll be able to be here more. Awesome. Glad you're here. So yeah, what do you think quick swap for modify ECM motor to PSC motor? What do you think quick swap Are you asking, do I think for modify ECM motor to PSE motor? Are you asking do you think it's better or quicker to modify it and make it into, just putting a PSE motor in there? Or I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. Maybe ask it in a different way. I'm pretty slow, so maybe ask it in a different way there. Let's see. I did want to show you guys last week. Our show was supposed to be called um "Is YouTube Ruining Our Trade?" And so we actually did a poll if this is going to work. And I guess this isn't going to work. This is so frustrating, guys. Um, you know what the problem might be? I didn't even think of it. Hold on one second, guys. I'm going to switch. I ran an internet speed test and that was going well, but it is raining outside and the internet I switched to is Starlink. Weather. Yeah. Let me try that. Give me 1 second here, guys. Okay. All right. Yeah, numbers are good tonight, guys. So thank you for joining us. If you are not one of our regulars, glad to have you. Um, we're gonna try to make the best of this, despite having the issues I'm having with internet right now. Uh, let's see. And now my window's a little off, which I should probably leave that alone. But um, man, you guys are starting to hop too, so I appreciate it. I did want to show you though, before we get hopping too much here, if the screen will flip while it's trying to do that. Fisher says instead of using a relay with bunch of wire is a small control board. So I'm trying to understand your question, Fisher. So I'm going to actually answer it in both ways. So I think ultimately what you're asking is if it's a ECM motor, have I ever put a PSC motor in there? And the answer is yes. There was one time that we tried to order the original OEM and it was going to take a while. And so we did put a relay in with a PSC motor and made it work for that customer. And that customer had another company out like 2 years before that, and they had replaced the motor. So I'm not going to try to be getting on here and I'm not going to try to bash any companies here, but I didn't have a lot of faith in what they were going to send us anyway. And I knew that, what we were going to put in there was going to do just fine. So I have done that. But if you are asking, have I ever used one of those ECM motors that can be programmed and they're kind of universal? We're starting to see more and more of that, which I think is a good thing, by the way. I think it's great that Gentech is one of them, and I think there's a one or two others. But I've actually met with the Gentech rep in our area around the fact that for motors that can replace almost every single variable speed or constant torque ECM motor that's out there, or at least close. And you might have to program it in some way, might have to connect it to an app. But they do have those options. But I can't think of any scenarios where I've ever replaced a PSC motor with something other than a PSC motor, mostly because of a lot of the static issues and things like that, and money, right? I mean, that's part of this too. Fit says, what's your opinion on the new installation of a heat pump in 30-degree weather in December? The 20-year-old system is pretty rough, and we're deep in a remodel for sale in a couple months. What's my opinion on new installation or replacement of a heat pump? Like, what's my opinion? I mean, can it be done? Yes. You I would say, I mean, we used to do it all the time at my company, but we always planned for the worst. So we would always bring space heaters with us to the installations for a just in case we couldn't get them back on. We always would try to rush, especially in the winter, on the indoor unit, because even if we, for some reason, we're not going to finish the installation, maybe we had to order a part for the outdoor unit or something, we would could at least get them some, it's expensive, but some some electric heat if they have an air handler, or if it's a furnace, some gas heat, but get them some heat for the night, if possible. Okay, so now it's going to finally switch over, so you guys should be able to see my screen here. And we did a poll last week on, we'll get to this poll in just a second, but last week's show was supposed to be called, um, is YouTube hurting the HVAC trade? And it looks like 145 of you voted. So thank you for that. Thank you, those of you that take the time to answer our little polls. Sometimes I don't get into it, but there's reasons why we're asking some of these questions. So I do appreciate you taking the time to vote on some of this stuff. And it looks like a resounding, um, majority of you said no, it's only helping the trade. 58% of you said no, 22% of you said not much, 13% said somewhat, and 7% said yes, a lot. One thing's for sure, that, whether you do or don't think it's hurt our trade, I think that one thing that cannot be argued is the fact that it's caused more transparency in our industry. And I would argue, more than any other platform, more than any other website on the internet, YouTube specifically has caused more transparency for a lot of contractors. I mean, if nothing else, those news organizations that run those sting operations, making sure that the local HVAC companies are being honest, that alone shows that, there's some more transparency there because of those videos. So pretty interesting there. And we will, I'll get to my other polls in just a moment. AP says, I asked chat GPT what to help me understand GWP. If a 410A system leaked 1 ounce per year, it would release approximately 59 kilograms of CO2, equivalent to driving a Ford F-150 pickup about 106 miles at 22 miles per gallon. In comparison, a similar leak of R32 would release 19 kilograms, equivalent to driving approximately 34 miles. I don't understand your, 106 miles. Okay, got it. 106 miles versus 34 miles. Okay, where are you going with this, AP? Did you say anything else after that? I don't see anything else. I hear you on that. I think the argument there that a lot of the folks that are making these changes would make is, we're not just talking about one system that's leaking 1 ounce. The interesting thing about a lot of these changes is it doesn't just affect the U.S., and it doesn't just affect the U.S. and Canada. Some would argue that we're pretty late to the party here. I believe it's 190 countries have been using R32 for at least a year, longer than we have, but some of them for decades. We did a show with a gentleman from the UK, and we talked about refrigerants and some of the changes. And, R32 is nothing it's just another day at work. And the other thing to point out there, since we're on the topic, is R32 is nothing new to us either. It's in 410, so just something to point out there. Recently met with Daikin engineers, and 2025 is moving a lot more to inverter and side discharge. 20 SEER will now be side discharge. Don't think there is two-stage equipment in the new R32 equipment model. I think there is an R32 two-stage. The DH. I mean, you might be right, Josh. But I'm pretty sure I saw it on the list. So I think it's the DH7. I think it is TC. DH7 TC. Look that up. Let me look it up if I'm gonna sit in here and act like I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, DH7. That it's equivalent to the DZ7 TC, but Daikin's DH7 TC heat pump is equipped with high efficiency two-stage Copeland Ultratech Skull compressor. So yeah, so the DH7 TC is two-stage. But other than that, you're saying everything I'm hearing too, pal. That the Daikin's coming out with some really cool stuff. In fact, I've got a video coming out. You guys should definitely watch out for, because there's some new stuff coming to their ductless models that I think is really cool. And we've got a video coming out on that in the next couple days. So so is Ream. Yeah, I mean, if we have this conversation 10 years from now, I think it's safe to say that the majority, if not all, but maybe not all, the majority of systems that are going to be sold in residential are going to be side discharge systems. And if those of you that, if you don't know what side discharge is, it's essentially those units where the fan blows out the front instead of the top. They kind of look like those mini splits that have the fan that blows out the front. But everything is going that way in all brands. So beautiful planet. Hi, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Brian says the state is going to be pushing. Hold on, let me switch back to our chat over here. If it's going to do it, and it's not going to do it, of course. The state is going to be pushing more towards heat pumps now and in the future, and eventually do away with gas. Horrible idea. The state already struggles with its current power grid. What are your thoughts on that? Because I've heard that argument a bunch, and if that's true, and I think we all know that it is true. Why are they doing, like, why would they push so hard then? Is it, is it a control thing? Is it real, I can't imagine it being an environment thing because of, well, I don't want to get into all the nitty gritty, but some of these decisions that are being made, they're just odd to me. But what you're going to see a lot of folks do is they're going to almost operate like they're off the grid. You're going to see solar take on, I think, a very, you're going to see products come out and they're already out, but you're going to see more products coming out where folks are able to harness solar, and because they're going to need to, right, to be able to afford this stuff, but it's going to be more cosmetically pleasing. So instead of these folks that have solar panels on their roofs or somewhere else on their property, I remember seeing this product that they almost look like real roof shingles, but it was capturing solar energy somehow through that. So I really think that that's something that a lot of folks are going to be especially folks that have the money and they don't have to, they don't worry about it. It's the folks that need more budget friendly options that should be really concerned here, because some of the more budget friendly options are literally being outlawed in multiple states and eventually this country probably. Fit says new install 2.5 ton Daikin or Bosch IDS on the edge between zone 4 and 5. So Daikin is a sponsor of our show. They sponsored a lot of our YouTube content. So I have to disclose that. But that said, even if we're talking about a Daikin 14 SEER system, then maybe go Bosch. But if you're talking about a Daikin Fit or above, then me personally, yes, I'm biased, but there's a reason I'm biased. There's a reason why Daikin is the only manufacturer, although I've been approached by others, that has ever been offered or advertised on our channel. And it's because I believe in their products. It's what we sold at my company. And the Fit is going to dehumidify better than the Bosch simply because of the technology. A communicating system has no dead band. Well, I shouldn't say no dead band, but not as high a dead band, meaning temperature swings. And it's going to learn how to run longer and remove more humidity. It's just the technology. A non communicating inverter system just simply cannot do that. It's an inverter system, still superior to other technologies that are out there, but it's just simply inferior, right? And there you go. So Josh says that's an inverter. I believe the new Fit. Yep. Um, we got emailed today. The 115-volt ductless is rolling out. Yes. Yeah. So I got a video that goes in depth on that, the new Otera coming out. I think it's a really cool product. The fittings that are on it is pretty interesting. But the 115, the fact that it's only a 15 amp single pole breaker, there's a lot of upsides to that product. And I think they're going to see a bunch of them sell. Well, they're going to sell like hotcakes. A lot of folks are. I want one. I know exactly where I'm going to put it in my house if I can get my paws on one as soon as they come out. AP says it would be cool if the inverter systems, if it logged all that data and you can plug in like a universal ODB type and see everything going on. I agree. And one thing I'll say is if you do get a Daikin Fit, and actually there's other products that do this too, but Daikin has a way that you can see all of that as a homeowner and get reports on your energy usage and so on. So they do have all that. Now I don't know if it's a ODB type plug, but it's done through the internet, so that's pretty cool. Brian says my dealer told me it's all politics mixed with solar panel companies. It's about that bottom dollar here in California anyways. Yeah, solar right now it's like the Wild West. There's companies just kind of running around, and there's I don't want to say there's no regulations, but it's not as many regulations as many of the other industries and trades. And it's sort of the Wild West right now. I would say that as we continue down this path, you're going to start to see not just regulations, but more conformity. Is that the right word? More of a right and wrong way to do it. And especially for homeowners and even, a heating and air guy, or folks that just simply don't know the ins and outs of the entire trade as far as solar goes. We're going to see more of a streamlined way of doing it, right? You're going to be able to go to, I don't know, Home Depot and buy solar panels, for example, and that we're not there yet. But I think that's something we could see in the future. Ryan says off-grid solar with battery backup will be big soon. 100%. 100%. I'm right there with you on that one. Josh says AP with the Daikin inverters, you can. The Daikin One Cloud allows us. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yep. Unique situation. I got some sawdust in my eye. We're getting new floors put in my house downstairs, and I keep getting sawdust in every nook and cranny in my face. I can scratch my ears, and then there's like sawdust falling out. Unique situation. I have a relative that had a furnace and coil only installed 2 years ago and now is rushing to get the outdoor unit before 410A supplies run out. I noticed it over the holiday. Yeah, if they are not able to, they still should be able to, Ryan. But if they're not able to get their hands on a 410A system, they don't need to rip that whole furnace out. They may just need to swap the coil with one that's got the sensor. But I don't think they, I mean, depending on what brand it is and such, they shouldn't have any problems there. AP says, I just changed to a Samsung heat pump washer and dryer in one. Blown away. Absolute game changer when people start getting their hands on these. I like it. I like it. Um, we I have not laid hands on one of those yet, but I've heard about them a while back. But I have laid hands on the water heaters that are heat pump models, and I think it's just a great technology. It removes humidity, but it's certainly more efficient, and so on. It uses 134A, nice coil and compressor, no vent, 120-volt, and it peaked at 1304 watts. Crazy that she had two-thirds of a system installed in the first place. I've seen crazier, but I hear you. Wish the dealer just told her to wait until electric was done. She had to wait on upgrading her electric panel before finishing. Emery says, Hey Josh, how do you test a condenser fan motor to see if it failed? Motors always get me in trouble, Emery, because I'm old school on that. Of course, you can test the windings, you can test resistance, you can test the degradation of the insulation with a megometer, and all you can do all those things. I don't do any of those things. I do two things. I make sure it's free spinning, so I spin it with my hand, and sometimes it doesn't free spin, right? So if it doesn't free spin, that's a problem. And then I make sure I got power going to it. And if it's free spinning and I got power going to it and she ain't working, I don't care what else is wrong with it. I don't care if it's an open winding. I don't care if it's a non-resettable thermal overload. I don't care if it's on fire. It doesn't matter to me. I know if it's free spinning and it's got power going to it and it's not working, I'm going to swap that motor. That's just, maybe that's old school, but at the end of the day, most of these motors are all in one now. The modules are not sold separate on the ECMs as much as maybe once before, and that's how I test them. You know, and I teach enough classes where a lot of the other technicians out there usually will agree with me as well. They don't put up too much of a fuss when I say that. Compressors are a different animal. There's a way to test those, but with motors, um, it's pretty simple as far as that goes. Josh says if they can't find the condenser, they would only need to change the coil, unfortunately, and add the remote board for the coil sensor. He could leave the furnace, no doubt. He could leave the furnace. He could put what's called a dragonfly board on there. That's what Goodman and Daikin calls it. But basically a board that the evaporator coil sensor on the new A2L refrigerants would be able to turn on that indoor fan motor if it sensed a refrigerant leak. That would meet code. Um, and many of the brands are selling those. Emery says, what kind of compressor does the Daikin Fit use? It uses the swing compressor, which is a patented product by Daikin. Again, Daikin sponsors some of our YouTube content, but they are the only company that I know of because they patented it that has the swing compressor. They also put it in some of the Amana and Goodman products, but it is a Daikin patented technology. Let's see. Can we get back on this screen? Is it going to allow me? It's going to take a bit before I can get back over to that one. See if I can get this thing swapped over here. I've got another poll I wanted to show you guys that we did on our channel. I thought it was interesting. In fact, I think we've done a version of this poll before. And I'll ask you guys, if you're staying at a relative's house for the holidays, but it's too cold inside, what do you do? And you got 4 options. Do you ask the homeowner to turn up the heat? That's option A. Do you B, change the thermostat yourself without saying anything? I used to have relatives that would do that. Do you C, say nothing, but you'll be leaving soon anyway, so you're gonna exit stage left, or do you ask for extra blankets at night? So and just kind of deal with it. So, what are your thoughts on that? I'd be curious to know. I'm trying to get the poll pulled up that we had on our channel. Is it going to do it? It's going to take a bit. But I'd be curious what you guys have to say about that. Me personally, I would probably just ask the homeowner. But that particular scenario, I mean, I guess it depends on who the homeowner is and how close we are. But um, most of my family, I just tell them, "Hey, it's cold in here. What y'all doing in here?" Um, we we don't usually have a problem telling folks how we feel in my family. So Josh says extra blankets. So he's not going to be rude. He's gonna try to take the high road there. Ryan says ask to turn up the heat for the first time only, then turn it up myself or get a space heater if they don't want me to use the central HVAC. My dad, when I was growing up, would throw a fit if I now we were too poor to have central HVAC. But if I turned on our window AC is what we had. We had two of them in our house, our little tiny house. And if I touched that, he and I used to fight like cats and dogs, especially once I was a teenager. And I would, go over there and turn that thing on. And he was, and I don't even think it was one of those deals where he was mad because it was wasting electricity. He just thought it was, it was too, it wasn't hot enough to be messing with it. It was the gist. So I don't know why this thing is still not swapped over to this other screen. But yeah, so Josh would take the high road and ask for extra blankets, and Ryan would get pretty aggressive there, I would say. Um I that video I told you guys I have coming out about the Otera, it also has some other new products that are coming out. One of those excuse me. One of those is the floor mount model for the ductless is getting a new look. Now, I have not gotten approval from Daikin to show that yet. But I'll say this, it is nice. It is sexy. It is it's they should be proud of what that system. I think it's just a good looking unit. A lot of ductless systems, a lot of homeowners don't want them, especially if they've got something either hanging on their wall or in the space in some way. But that one unit, when you get to see it, when that video comes out, it adds to the space. It adds to the space, I think. It could almost kind of be a decorative piece on its own. It's not, that nice looking. Josh says, how long did you own your company? So I owned my company for 11 years. From 2013 to 2024 till this year. We were just a couple months short of 11 years because I think I started my business in April or May of 2013. And then we closed shop February of this year. So we didn't close shop, we sold it. And I was actually just talking to somebody the other day about I had three different companies bidding, if you will, on buying my company. And I got to tell you, without mentioning any names, I heard some stories about both of the other two companies, one in particular, and I am very thankful that I did not sell my business to them. That owner, if karma's a real thing, or if reaping what you sow is a real thing, he's got a rude awakening coming to him based on some of the stories I'm hearing. So anyway, and it's not even the owner, it's the owner's son who now runs the business. And I heard quite a few stories about that fellow. So we'll see. But if that's a thing, if you believe in that, then he's in trouble, I think. So, and I'm very thankful I did not sell to him. Ryan says, I would like to see more floor and ceiling cassette options from Daikin. Um, Stay tuned. Ding. Um, that's all I'll say on that. I've heard some cool stuff. I don't know what I'm allowed to say. In fact, I've been told things and they're like, well, you can't say anything. But there's some cool stuff coming from them. Um, so yeah. Daikin is about to change the whole industry and amazing to see the new things they are rolling out within the next 12 to 24 months. Josh, you're right. We're like one in the same, man. We're two Joshes, and I'm right there with you on everything you just said there. I think it's going to be a lot of fun over the next couple years. Because I think there was almost like this lull there where they were getting they knew this change was coming, and they almost kind of let the foot off the gas. It felt like to me on new stuff. And then now we're even before they made the switch. So like a year or two ago, I started hearing about some of these products that we're already starting to see come out. And they were saying, Ryan says, I think Josh is typing in the background. That's funny. I wish I was that talented. There is very cool stuff. Yes. And they've told me the same. Nice. Nice. Where are you located, Josh? Just out of curiosity. Why you're probably gonna say Virginia. Oh, I'm in Virginia. I'm in Hartfield, Virginia, just like you. And then Ryan would be correct. It'd be like my alter ego is actually typing in the background. Josh says he's in Houston. Nice. Very cool. So you have a long commute getting all your products from the factory. Finally, my screen finally flipped over. So hopefully you guys can see this. And so here's that poll. You're staying at a relative's house for the holidays. Man. You're staying at a relative's house for the holidays, but it's way too cold inside. What do you do? 27% said ask the homeowner to turn up the heat. 10% said change the thermostat yourself. Well, 11% said say nothing, you'll be leaving soon anyway. And 52% said ask for extra blankets at night. So kind of deal with it, bundle up. And I'll say I've probably done that before, right? You're in somebody else's home, and especially if it's just cold. If I'm hot, that's different. It's hard for me to maybe put up with that as much. But if I'm cold, I can usually just, like you said, maybe throw on a sweatshirt, kind of deal with it. You're in someone else's home. But it just kind of depends. I would say if I'm in some of my relatives' houses, I should not have any quarrels with asking them to, change that thermostat. So it's so long to get things. I special order from the Waller factory, and it's just down the street. Just down the street. Michael says, "Hey Josh, hey Michael, welcome to the show. If you are here in the chat, we all know there's some bad apples in our industry. There's some folks that make us all look bad. If you know a good apple, if you know a good company, a good HVAC, electrical, or plumbing company, drop their name and where they're located in the chat. Let's show those folks some love. And you never know, someone in your area may see your comment and you might send that company a little more than just love. You may actually send them some business. So drop them in the chat and let's show those folks some love there. I actually do have something exciting coming where we're going to be highlighting every live show a good HVAC company across the nation. So that'll be a lot of fun. Josh says Elite Air Experts in Houston, Texas. Shout out to those folks. Brian says me, Valleywide Home Improvements in Central California. Make sure you reach out to Brian and Valleywide if you are in Central California. Ryan says, what do you think of the dust free 16 air filter? Is it overdoing it? Seems like a HEPA system and media filter hybrid. I will say, especially those MERV 16 systems, that I mean, I've seen MERV 11 units really add static. So static is definitely a real thing. But if it's a bypass filter, like a lot of the HEPA filters that are out there, then I say pour it on. But is it overdoing it? Well, the only real way to know that is if you are checking static pressures, right? Ryan says admirable. No, not admirable. Admiral Heating and Cooling in Erie, Pennsylvania. So shout out to those folks. Dust free 16. Google the image. Okay, let's take a look at it. Dust free. Let's see. Let's just put it on this one so you guys can see it. Dust free. What'd you say? 16? Just 16. Dust free 16. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I've seen these. It's on True Tech Tools. I actually have an invention for air filters in my head that I don't want to tell anybody because they'll steal it, but I don't know what to do with that. So if you know how to make air filters and you want a winning idea for us all to get rich off of, reach out to me. I've had an invention in my head for air filters for a couple years now, but I don't know how to make air filters, so I've never done anything about it. But yeah, this is a pretty cool system. I like the surface area, right? So that's always the problem with a lot of filters, especially when you are compiling them into, say, a 1-inch filter. The surface area, if it's reduced, can really be a problem. So I'll say this, if so this looks like the guys over at True Tech Tools, or at least I've seen this guy on True Tech Tools stuff, and they must be testing this in some way. But if True Tech Tools is offering it, it's probably at least a decent product. They have a really good reputation in our industry, and they're not a sponsor of mine. If they'd like to sponsor something, reach out to me. Ding. But they're not a sponsor of ours. But yeah, if you get one, Ryan, let me know, man. Keep me updated. I know you like to play with things and you're up on it. Normally put the HEPA system parallel so we don't kill the static pressure. Yeah. I call it bypass, but yeah, parallel. Do a bypass filter where you run the supply and the return, and it doesn't do anything to your static pressure if it's installed properly. Bob says we used dust free and it restricted the airflow too much. Oh, interesting. Oh, so the plot thickens, Ryan. The plot thickens. I would definitely want to know that static, and if it's being offered by True Tech, they may be able to have those technical conversations with you before you spend any money on it, right? Fit says, I missed if and when you discussed selling your business. What were the reasons? How many years before you can start a new one? Would you still want to? Great questions. So the reason I sold my business was a couple of things. The first thing is, I couldn't find any good help, if I'm being honest with you. And that I had some really good guys and gal. I had a lady that worked with me that was great. But we were going through a lot of folks that I would just, I had one guy tell me, I asked him to help me clean a van, and I was going to help him, and he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I'm like, well, if you're going to work here, you're going to do it. And, well, then I don't work here. And he just left. And, and that just kind of gives you a snapshot of some of the things we dealt with. Anyway, I don't want to get into all the nitty gritties, but I had several instances like that with guys. I had one guy, he kept leaving the disconnect out of units. He would do the tune-ups and then he would leave the disconnect after he was done doing the tune-up out of the system. And then I would be on call and I'd get a call in the middle of the night for, hey, I don't have, you guys were just here today and I don't have any heat. And so I'd have to go out there in the middle of the night and I can't charge them anything for that. It's not the homeowner's fault that we left the disconnect out. And so that guy, he did that like 3 times. And so I texted him a picture of it and then he just quit. He texted me back. He's like, this ain't for me. And he just quit. So anyway, I was just, that was one of the main reasons. I was getting burnt out. It was hard finding good help. And our business was cranking. The phone would not stop ringing, and I just couldn't find any good folks that wanted to work and provide a good service and have their standards as high as we did. Um, but then one of my best guys, he was starting. He had back to 3 days. He's getting older, and that was tough. And then I was approached with an opportunity to teach HVAC and the stars just aligned. The company that ended up buying it, they've been great. They take care of all of our customers. They honor all of our warranties, and so that it was just a win-win across the board as far as that goes. So, how many years before I can start a new one? I could start a new one now, today, if I wanted to. It just couldn't be in the same area for a while. I think for a few years. Um, And then would I still want to? I think ultimately the answer is no, because the problems that I had um would still be there. However, I do sometimes do a little bit like if someone is, like our church, for example, they need a new heating and air system. I'm going to put that in. I'm not going to make anything off of it. Stuff like that. So that kind of wets that whistle. Um, is that something I can say? That doesn't mean anything sexually, does it? I hope. Wet my whistle. I don't. Anyway, that's what I get for doing live shows. Josh says, reach out afterwards, Josh. Yeah, send me an email, man. AP says those high MERV like MERV 16 Linux 5-inch filters also won by my sorry, I can't read. Also won by a company called Breathable Intake. They last 1 year at low static. We were always April Air folks. But maybe they're all the same. As long as it's got plenty of surface area, it should be better for static pressures. Bob says, or Ryan says, Bob, was it a dust free 16 that was restrictive or another model? Josh says, good help is definitely the struggle to growing in this business. Yeah. I talked to a lot of other business owners and they say marketing is their biggest problem. Marketing was not our problem. The phone would not stop ringing. Once we had done a good job for like 10 years straight. Right. And folks knew that. And, we took care of folks. We took care of their homes. We didn't have a lot of the problems that I hear other homeowners talk about where, oh, they came into my house and they tracked mud and they broke something and all these things that you just hear. We didn't do any of that. We just took care of folks and offered really good warranties. That was always our thing. We would pair a 12-year labor warranty with our installations. So our installs would have a 12-year parts and labor warranty. And that was just kind of our thing. So marketing was never our problem. It was finding good help and dealing with some of the hoo-ha. Bob says this was too long ago, but we lost a compressor as a result. So I stopped using them. Ryan says, Josh, did you ever think of running a lean HVAC business and just staying small, no growth to worry about? Yes. Yeah, I did consider that. In fact, that's kind of what we were doing with me and the few great guys that I had. We were just saying no to a lot of stuff. We didn't drive as far. We kept our geographic area really small, and we took on the jobs that we wanted to take on, and we didn't go in crawl spaces where the homeowner had, you know, a problem and but they didn't want to fix it, so it was a mess or it was really tight or we only did the stuff we wanted to, which was kind of nice, to be honest with you. When you're starving, you'll eat anything, but when you're fed, you'll eat when you want, right? Uh, Come to North Carolina. We need you. Thanks, pal. Appreciate that. You're gonna move to Houston to work with me and Daikin on a new company. No thanks. I would love to chat with you more, but I do not want to move to Houston, man. I can't. I went there and did that factory tour that time, and it was sticky is the word. It wasn't just hot; it was sticky. So you guys have some real heat down there. AP says doesn't make sense. You'd think MERV 16 captures everything, would load up, clog up after 6 months, 1 year. They look bad, but airflow stays good. Not Flanders easy flow good. But better than 3M 1 inch after a month. Very, yeah. Some of those, I don't want to bash any particular brands, but some of those filters, man, the static pressure, I mean, you're ruining your HVAC system, right? There's no doubt about any of that. How does the 12-year labor warranty work for customers when businesses are sold that installed it? Well, I don't know the answer to that, Ryan, but when I took bids on my company, I actually could have made more money off of selling my business. There was one company that was bidding on it that was throwing around numbers, and we're talking significantly higher than I took for my business. And this isn't me like trying to sound all noble. It was just very important to me that if I bumped into a former customer in the grocery store after selling my business, that it wasn't awkward. It's a small town, you know? And so the company that I sold it to, I was like, you have to honor our warranties. So I don't know how that works with all companies, but the 12-year warranty was also through a third party company. So Daikin has a company that does it, but there's also some other third party companies like JB and Trinity and AIG. And all of those have third party warranties. So that way you don't have those. You ever heard those stories where folks are like, I've got a lifetime warranty on my roof, and then the company's out of business a year later? So your warranty's worthless, right? With these warranties, it's through a third party company. And so even if that business owner of that HVAC company gets hit by a bus tomorrow, you're still covered. That's kind of the point here. So we're going to wrap up in just a moment, guys. But yeah, thank you everybody that's been here. Thank you for your support. We're here every Tuesday night at 8:30. So feel free to join us again. And I've got some cool stuff coming. Believe it or not, we've got a guest I just confirmed that might be on the show in a couple weeks too. But I don't want to give that away. That's gonna be a really cool show. Nobody knows what humidity is till you're in Houston. Amen to that. Daikin offers an extended 12-year service contract, so it's covered through their Assure or Cool Care labor warranties. Yep. I'm down in Corpus Christi, 4 hours south of Houston, also on the coast. The summers are super nice, 90 to 100 degrees, 60 to 80% relative humidity. That sounds hot to me. You say it's super nice. That sounds hot. Uh, just kidding. I've actually considered you, especially you guys down in Texas, because we've got multiple folks that join us, watch our stuff, comment in Texas. If maybe we did like I don't know, like a dinner one night in a central location, I don't know, like Houston I don't think Houston's that central, but maybe a little further over. And if we all, hung out one night, and I don't know, maybe we could have some vendors there or something. I don't know. Just a thought. I know you guys are, especially you folks that are in the, HVAC. I mean, it's a busy time, all the time, really, down in Texas. But yeah, when should I replace my unit? When it breaks. That's my answer to that. I've got we talked, I think it was last week, on that 5K rule, and we're going to explain, or we're going to really dive into that soon, and go through the ins and outs of that. So, but yeah, that's my answer to that. Get as much life out of your system as you can in most cases. But if it's time to repair, um, I think that anyway, I'm treading lightly with that because every scenario is different. There are scenarios where maybe a system that's still operating okay is if your electric bills are high, for example. If you, I don't know, if you keep having refrigerant issues or something like that, maybe I might look at replacing, even if the system's still running. But you get the point. Josh says that would be fun. Austin or San Antonio would be the center. Okay. Yeah, I'm not that familiar with Texas. I just know it's freaking huge. Uh, you're not going to jump in a car and be from one side to the other in a few hours. That's the way Virginia is. Y'all have a nice week. Fix those heaters and heat pumps. Have a great night, Bob. We're about to sign off. See you guys next Tuesday. Great show. Always a great time with you and your guests. Always watching until you shut up. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate it, buddy. Josh says a meet and greet. Yeah, I'll sign some autographs, or Josh will. Josh will sign some autographs. Central and in Texas. Texas is big. Replace it if Trump or Elon or whomever gets some of that German Swedish R290 deregulated. No North Carolina dinner invite. You can come to Virginia, Ryan. Just a couple hour drive. Texas is muy grande. Amen. I own a company and my father-in-law didn't want to change his till last summer. Air handler was 46 years old. Oh my gosh. So he got his money's worth out of that one. So great show. See you next time. Have a great night. For the rest of you, we will be back next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. In the meantime, make it a great week, and we'll see you then.